But before that, have you been hit by credit card fraud? If so, you're among friends, because these days thousands of people become victims of computer experts who hack into their accounts. Callie Leeming from Coventry stole £750,000 when he was still a teenager. But he eventually paid a high price himself, as Rav Wilding finds out.
The internet has changed the world. From finding fair weather friends to booking a day at the races, about 40 million of us regularly go online in Britain.
So every time you enter your bank details, birth dates, car registration, even your chest size into the information highway, you run the risk of sharing that information with a lot more people than you think.
There was a boy.
Details can be stolen and are passively monitored so easily, and people don't even realise. The shops themselves aren't doing enough to protect users against fraud and against their details being stolen.
Coventry's Cal Leeming should know. He is a reformed hacker who'd stolen £750,000 by the time he was 19 years old. By pouring through hundreds of websites and databases, Cal stole information and money from thousands of credit cards.
I've stolen a database that had 13,000 details, but it could have had 60,000, but I just didn't extract them in time. There have been databases where I've had up to 250,000 users, people on there, but I don't know. If I was to remember every card number, I know I think it's over the millions.
The ability to steal thousands of people's sensitive details wasn't something Cal mastered overnight. At 10 years old, his grandparents bought him a computer. That helped Cal escape the realities of a sometimes traumatic childhood.
I had a whole family, a whole new set of friends, a life where I could just look at a computer and I could forget about everything that happened when I was younger. I wouldn't have to listen to any fighting, any screaming downstairs, wouldn't have to pull up with anything, just have the computer there and my family was there for me.
So how does hacking work? Well, here's a very rough guide. It's all about finding the weak points in the codes that contain our details. A little bit like finding an insecure lock in one of these mailboxes. And what a hacker like Callie can do next is invent a new code and use that to pick the faulty lock. Behind every door they open with a new code, they get a new piece of personal information until they've got enough to get into your account. So the proof of the pudding, as they say. Can Cal and his mate Ben hack into this memory stick? It contains sensitive information, it's encrypted, and it's also got a password, just like your bank does with your credit card details.
Their days of illegal hacking are behind them, but when Cal and his mate Ben were actively hacking, they would share information with each other through internet sites.
A lot of the people who I used to talk to about when I first joined, so obviously me and Ben used to be in the same hacking group. We ran one as well, so
you ran 3.
Yeah, quite a few different ones, weren't there? And I know everyone that's been a member of it we still talk to now.
We don't condone Cal's past criminal behaviour, but because we've given Cal and Ben permission to recover our password, this is an ethical hack. We just want to prove how easy it can be for hackers to steal sensitive information from computers. Sadly for me, it isn't long before they've cracked it, and a photo I'd rather have stayed hidden away for a very long time has come back to haunt me.
Get it off. Oh damn it, wrong one.
Obviously my producer's idea of a joke.
Nice picture.
Now the information Cal and Ben just hacked into was obviously very sensitive, but it's nothing compared to the sensitivity of bank details. Last year, £23 million was stolen from people around the UK, simply because hackers stole their details.
And even when they have no physical contact with their perpetrator, victims of hacks are still left shaken and sometimes broke. Birmingham student Claire Jones had some vital cash stolen by hackers.
It's nearly £400 over 3 weeks, so it's quite a lot over like a small span of time. So I just thought, where is all my money going? I suddenly hadn't got any money left, so I was living on like the worst pasta ever. So, but is like a big impact when you suddenly realise you've got £400 missing from your account.
The impact Cal's hacking had on his victims was also massive. Buying goods from internet sites with other people's credit card details, Cal got caught when one victim realised £5,000 had been stolen from his card. The police officer who eventually caught Cal has asked to remain anonymous because of his work with other dangerous criminals.
It was surprising that a youngster of his age had the depth of knowledge that he had, and nothing was too much of an obstacle for him to surmount and actually overcome. I think the effect that this had on those people that we found as a result of this investigation, it had a huge impact on their quality of life, in so much that their personal identities were being used by another person.
What Cal did was very wrong. Stealing money and identities for his own means, his victims were powerless to protect themselves until it was too late. But Cal claims he didn't start hacking to ruin lives.
One of the companies I hacked into, they had a lot of credit cards on their database. They got hacked into by myself. I threatened to tell everyone off their email list that they got hacked into, and said unless they tell them themselves, I would do it for them, and I would make it a lot worse as well. I was then arrested 3 days later for whatever the UK's equivalent was of blackmail or slander. I wasn't trying to get any financial gain out of it, I just wanted them to admit that yes, they've been a fault, yes, all these details have gone missing, and yes, we're going to do something about it.
So Cal claims part of his motive for hacking was to expose companies who hold details about people insecurely. And it's no big surprise online companies don't like to admit their websites aren't 100% safe. At the Third Man Group, they deal with the fraudulent transactions often caused by hackers.
We see massive amounts of bad transactions every single day. Internet fraud is, as you probably see by the latest APAC figures, has gone up by 37% just in the last year alone. But over the last 5 years, it's probably gone up 100%. So the problem is a massive thing.
But Cal's no longer a part of those statistics. In a classic case of poacher turned gamekeeper, he now works to protect companies rather than hack into them.
So you've obviously put your hacking days firmly behind you. What are you doing with yourself now?
I now work to protect these companies against hackers. I help them secure their systems against hackers, against internal staff that are malicious. I help every single aspect of a company's infrastructure, or help to build or rebuild or redesign or secure that infrastructure.
Is there anything you can advise people do then to make them more secure?
Yeah, of course. Things like not disclosing too much public information online, so things like your kids' names. Again, this is something I do on mine simply because I haven't got any assets that can be stolen. Make sure that the site you're buying from is really well known. Don't buy from little private sites. Just to be more vigilant.
So whether it's webcams, social networking or transactions online, we obviously need to take better care of ourselves when logging on, especially as wireless networks make our online activities ever more insecure. Or in the wise words of Cal,
there are a lot of companies in Britain which don't care whatsoever about security, and the only thing I can advise is to be very vigilant when it comes to reputation, because even very reputable companies, even some of the biggest in the UK, are some of the most insecure.